And here's how it would go. After Notre Dame's decisive win over Michigan.
Like that?
I'm sorry, Jalen, to do it to you, but after starting 19-3, Jim Harbaugh is just 9-9 over his last 18 games. He's only one win ahead of the pace that Brady Hoke was on at the same time, and Hoke was fired after his fourth season. So let's talk about the Michigan situation with the two perfect people to do it with, Dan Orlovsky, who covers college football for us, and Jalen, who bleeds maize and blue. Dan, as you watch them, it did not appear that this quarterback that they bring in, Shea Patterson, is playing in a system that necessarily suits his skill set, and as a result, their offense was a disaster.
Absolutely. You know, I picked Michigan to go to the college football playoff. Because,
how are you feeling now?
Well, I was like, you know, they've got Shea Patterson. They're going to run a Colin Kaepernick-style offense. Their defense is fantastic. And then I watched the game, and I was like, archaic. You know, I was watching 15 years ago. Shea Patterson, you're taking away his greatest weapon, Greeny. You know, he's an athlete. That's what makes him a good player in college football. So put him on the edge. Change your offense to get RPOs and zone reads and movement stuff like Chip Long did with Brandon Wimbush at Notre Dame. And that's what allowed Wimbush to play so well. If you're not going to change your scheme for Shea Patterson, then play the McCaffrey kid.
I agree.
That's the bottom line.
They looked more comfortable and better suited in that offense when they had McCaffrey in those few series that he was there when Patterson got hurt quickly. The defense didn't look good either. It's supposed to be a legendary Michigan defense. It was supposed to be stifling, and they didn't look anything like that.
And the great secondary coming back from last year. I will say they played better as the game went on. I wanted to see Don Brown blitz more. When they blitzed Wimbush, he was like 6 of 13, 2 sacks and a pick. But they didn't do it enough. They only blitzed like 40% of the time. And they gave up some big plays down the field early on. So they settled in. But if you're going to run that offense, your defense better be dominant.
You're on to something when you say the Michigan offense didn't adjust to their quarterback. As somebody that lives Michigan football and bleeds maize and blue, as you just mentioned, if you look back at all of the top quarterbacks that have come out of Michigan, Elvis Gerback, Tom Brady, Drew Henson, Brian Griese, it was a traditional offense. And as a fan, I used to sometimes get frustrated that we were 3 downs in a cloud of dust. 2 tight ends, stout fullback, and that's not how the game is played anymore. Denard Robinson, he was an outlier, shoelace. So I agree with you on that premise. But now I got to hit the brakes on another thing you guys said. The touchdown that you guys see, it was a great catch by the wide receiver of Notre Dame. That was against our backup safety.
Right.
Because our starting safety was ejected for targeting.
On a somewhat quesable targeting call.
Y'all left that part out.
I know, I didn't leave it out. I'm hearing you.
Okay. And also, they also got a touchdown after a late hit against the quarterback that extended a drive.
But it's a late hit. I mean, that was a bad penalty by their defense.
Yeah,
I mean, it's legit.
Exactly. It was a terrible decision, but it's gonna be make or break in a lot of ways for Michigan to see how they respond to this. And you gave all of the Brady Hoke stats, but another stat that sits with us, 1-5. That's against Michigan State and Ohio State. You can salvage your season if you continue to play well and you beat those two
Absolutely.
teams.
That's why I said there was much more pressure on Notre Dame this week than there was on Michigan. Michigan still has the Big Ten. If they run the table there and win the title, then I think they'll still be playing in college football's Final Four. But there was nothing that we saw on Saturday night that would give you the impression they could do that.